Hi, I'm Carl Lucci with the I Refuse to Fail Partnership. We usually do interviews of our I Refuse to Fail partners and distribute these across the country every month to help them in their business. Every once in a while, I run into somebody that I think is worthy of just helping them out. They've been struggling maybe in their business or whatever. And so I like doing an interview with them to see if there's somebody out there that might even be able to help them. And I met this young man recently. His name is Mansa. And I'm going to do a little brief interview. I think you're going to find his story quite interesting. And I think you're probably going to understand quite well what he's been up against. But I want to introduce him. I'm going to let him tell you more about him than I'm going to tell you. So Mansa, welcome. I'm really glad you're here today. And I look forward to you letting everybody know about you and what you're trying to do.
Thank you, Carl. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to interview me.
So first of all, tell us a little bit of background. How, start with a little bit of history so we know how you got where you are today.
I grew up in the city of Philadelphia, single parent household. Really no father figures around. Grew up with my mother, my two sisters. Um, I noticed that when I was young, I was really big into books and I read a lot, but it wasn't really a lot of books in the house. And I remember reading a book called Peter Perfect, maybe 100 times. And the book was about a young boy who appeared to be perfect. He never made any mistakes. But at the end of the book, he turned out to be a toy and he was crying. And it said, Peter Perfect, you're only just a boy. And throughout my life, I realized that I was Peter Perfect, that I did a lot of good things well, but that I really didn't have anybody there for me like Peter Perfect didn't have anybody there for him. You know, I was very athletic. I was an A student in school, got caught up in the streets. Um, I just eventually became a product of my environment. Even when I was trying not to be pulled into that, I just eventually became a part of that. I got in some trouble as a juvenile. Um, Went to a place called Glen Mills, uh, got my GED, enrolled in some college prep classes. I had a few opportunities to go to college. I opted out of that, returned home, got into a little bit more trouble. Um, just making some poor decisions. You know, I realized throughout my entire life that I just needed somebody there to, give me some direction, because I'm a good student, I'm a good learner, but I just never really had a teacher. I never really had nobody there to invest in me and to, guide me along the way. I had the potential, I have the capacity to learn. I'm very determined. I have a strong will, but I never really had a person there to see what was in me. Take that. Like,
It's all right. Don't worry about it. I understand. So what happened that got you into the worst situation you were in?
um, I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that everything it happens and is aligned just the way that person's particular life is supposed to, unfold. So I had ran into a childhood friend one day that I hadn't seen in a long time, and he was in another town, um, dealing, in drugs. And he said, "Hey, listen, I need you over here with me. Come over here with me, and we could do, some big things." Ended up going over there. It paid off. I was doing good. We was doing good. Few situations transpired, put me in a precarious situation. Um, Eventually, I had a confrontation with one of the locals. He had a firearm. I had a firearm, and it resulted in me shooting a guy twice. He succumbed to the injuries. I ended up being sentenced to 25 years in prison. I did 21 and a half years on that sentence. And, but I remember coming from court and I was smiling. And when I returned to the bullpen, they said, "Why are you smiling?" I said, "Man, I could have got a life sentence." Because I never consider myself innocent. I never tried to free myself of any blame. It just was one of those situations, God knows my heart, my intention. I never intentionally meant to kill a person. Now, would it have probably resulted in like some violence, but not that kind of violence. That wasn't the intent of the confrontation. So anyway, I went to jail in 1996. I was released in 2017. I know me. I know me better than anybody else know me. I knew that I had, an enormous potential. Everybody that meets me say, "You're such a bright person. Like, you have something. You're a special person." So immediately when I got incarcerated, I just kind of like turned into the person that I wanted to be. I always wanted to be a person that helps people. Since I was a child, I would give the local youth, I would get free haircuts. I would get them clothes, buy them school things and stuff. I just was always a helpful person. I never really liked to see people deal with hardships. Even though I know I can't fix everything, I always try to fix everything. And I realized that the one thing I can't fix is myself. you know. But yeah, when I went to prison, I read hundreds and hundreds of books. Um, did a lot of introspection. I did a lot of, self talks. Um, and I just worked on myself. I didn't do the things that typical inmates do. I didn't play a lot of board games. I didn't get caught up in the, playing a lot of board games, card games. I just was very active in fitness and myself. That's all I did. I didn't even really watch a lot of television. I didn't really listen to music. I didn't partake in any drugs. I didn't have a smoking habit. I just basically for years and years and years and years just worked on myself because I know that it was something different about me. I'm very articulate. Um, I absorb knowledge very well. I have a great memory. And I just realized that a lot of people found strength in me. A lot of people asked for my advice and they just always said, "Mansa, you have a really good head on your shoulders." And I just took the encouragement, I took the advice. I enrolled in Ashford University. Um, I received my associate's degree in psychology. I graduated with honors. Immediately, I enrolled in a bachelor's program. So in my third year of schooling, I ran programs while I was incarcerated, facilitated groups, mental health groups. I acquired over 2,700 hours of mental health and substance abuse training, along with note taking, behavioral assessments, everything that deals with mental health. Um, and I just ran a lot of groups. I just acquired knowledge. A lot of the counselors saw something in me. They kind of like took me under their wing, brought me into their office, let me watch tapes. I remember sitting back watching a lot of Terrence Gorski tapes, um, acquiring a lot of knowledge about how the brain influences the body and things like that. And like I just learned, man. Because I knew that when I came home, that I wanted to do something powerful. I wanted to be a deterrent for other people not to, travel the same roads that I traveled. Because there's a lot of talented people in jail, but when you don't have nobody there believing in you and pushing in you, you kind of take alternate routes. You kind of do other things. Everybody needs somebody to believe in. Everybody needs somebody to see something in them and say, "Hey, you can do this. Even though you may know you can do it yourself, it always feels good to know other people believe in you. And
Right.
so I always believed in myself though. I never really, I had family, but I never really had that one person that say, come on, listen, you're not gonna fail. That's why it's interesting about your program and your business. I refuse to fail. And this may be, a little sidebar, but the first time we talked, I said, man, this guy really believes in me. And it just made me more determined to say, brother, you on to something. I remember I had an interview with a lady named Miss Ethna Ayadi. She was from Allstate, and it was a job for me to become a real estate agent. And she said, man, so is anything that would stop you from getting your license? And I said, well, Miss Ayadi, and I explained to my situation while I was incarcerated and what I was incarcerated for. And she said, well, man, so I'm gonna tell you off the records, I don't think that you're gonna do it. I don't think these people is gonna let you. Said I deal with some clients, and I just don't think they're gonna let you go through with it. But I'm gonna put you through anyway. And she talked to me. She said, listen, man, I believe in you. She said, there's something about you. She said, I used to work for one of the presidents. And she said that he has a program that he enacted in law. It's called the Second Chance Program. She said, you look into that. But she said, there's something special about you. I believe in you. I want you to keep pushing forward and don't you stop. And every interview that I had with people, they said the same thing. I had countless interviews, I had countless job offers, but my background, I just never knew that I would be faced with the kind of obstacles and
Trying to
just the
reach
hindrance,
goals. Yeah.
just the hindrance that I had. I felt like I worked on myself, I
Mhm.
educated myself, I paid my debt to society, so I thought. I didn't know that it would be so hard for me to transition back into society and do something that I'm passionate about doing, helping others. I thought that institutions and organizations would welcome me in with open arms, but I found that wasn't the case. I found that, you know, my presentation, the way I articulate myself, my passion, my tears, them seeing me, looking at my face and looking into my eyes and seeing how determined I am to try to, shield our youth, even our adults, from making poor decisions, because one decision can cost you. One decision can alter your whole life. One decision can change things that you had potential to do. But then you will, they say you gotta get out your own way. Sometimes we can't get out our own way. And I've been incarcerated with people that have a lot of potential, a lot of potential. Either a drug addiction stopped them, um, a bad upbringing, no parental figure, no maternal figure. Something hindered them, and it kind of killed their joy. It stole their light from them, and I felt like my joy was stolen. Not by, I didn't have a bad upbringing. I didn't grow up in poverty. I didn't grow up in an abusive household. I just didn't grow up in a household where there were people determined to make sure I succeed.
Yeah, I
And
understand that. I mean, you and I both know, and I think most other people know that when somebody's incarcerated, they get lumped into the same barrel as everybody else. Whereas there are probably some good people in there that could do real good in life, like yourself. And then there's some that just look at it as a graduation to do things bad, continue doing bad. And
right.
and it's a shame that everybody gets labeled the same way. So with what you've been through, I know that when you got out of prison, you had actually started your own business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Um, like I said, my passion is behavioral health and mental health and substance abuse.
Right.
I had um I had got in contact with a an agency, did all my credentials, CPR certified, did all my background checks, just did all the necessary requirements to prepare myself for employment. I had a tentative job offer to work in a juvenile facility, making $21 an hour. My background, check came back, my FBI report, and it disqualified me from working with youth on account of a violent charge. And this is one of my obstacles. The laws changed. The laws used to allow you to work with youth and a sensitive demographic as long as you didn't have any crimes against that demographic. But the laws changed to where it includes that if you have violent offensive or violent charges, that it excludes you from working with children. So when my FBI report disqualified me, I was very hurt. I was very disappointed because while I was incarcerated, they had a program inside the institution to where one side of the jail was for youth that was waiting to be certified as adults because they had violent charges that they certified them as adults and they was going to be tried as adults. But I used to talk to the youth, and like I said, I just saw that I was very instrumental in helping people deal with whatever they was dealing with from a childhood, whatever things they felt though that kind of altered them and changed their life to where they made bad decisions. I felt that I was able to reach people. But anyway, when my FBI report came back and disqualified me from having that job, an opportunity presented itself to where I was able to start a furniture delivery company. I had a friend that was a customer rep at Raymore and Flanagan's. He said, "Hey, listen, our third party delivery person, he's having some issues. We looking for a new third party delivery person." Got my business license, got commercial insurance, put my little suit and tie on, went up there, talked to the management. They say, "Listen, you are a new guy." So I got that contract, it was very lucrative. I was doing very well. I had a family, I had a daughter, I was married, I was doing good. I just really had everything that I wanted. I was in a position that was more blessed than I could have ever imagined. And, I'm working 7 days a week, 12, 16 hours a day, and I'm doing good. My daughter was born in 2019. I had a few deliveries on my truck. My wife went into labor. I did 2 of the deliveries. I asked the doctor, "Listen, how long do you think it'll be before my daughter born?" He said, "You have about a few hours." I did one of the deliveries, and I said, "Man, I'm not missing my daughter being born." Called the store. I said, "Listen, my wife's in labor. It'll be a few hours before my daughter's born. This is a beyond special occasion. I can't risk missing it. I can either do the deliveries tomorrow or I could bring the deliveries back to the store and the store can do the deliveries." I apologize for the confusion. I had a good rapport with the sales reps. A lot of deliveries is, based on commission. So I apologize to him, for messing his commission up. I reassured him that I said, I'll make it up to you in the future, man, but I need this one. So I opted out of that. Management, they wanted me to bring the deliveries back. They would do them. And after that, my contracts were taken from me. And my business kind of went downhill from there. I continued to seek employment in the behavioral health institution, dealing with people with intellectual disabilities, autism spectrum. My field of expertise, the same old story. The interviews go well. They love me. They give me a job offer. FBI report comes back, disqualifies me. The last time I just knew I had this job. To me, I felt that I was doing everything right. I don't have any drug addiction. I don't drink or anything like that. And I just felt I was doing everything right. I knew I had this one job, you know, it's a prestigious institute, um, dealing with children with autism. The hiring manager, she loved me. I did an interview. They immediately offered me a job. I'm just waiting. I'm contacting my onboard and contact person. We conversing back and forth. And my heart just said, you had this job. You got this job. And my FBI report came back and it disqualified me. And I didn't send him the paperwork. And he called me, said, hey, Mansa, it's been over 2 weeks. Did you receive your FBI report? And I said, listen, I don't want to go through this anymore. I said, it disqualified me to work with children again. He said, listen, Mansa, just send it in. It's not up to me to make the decision. If it was up to me to make the decision, I will hire you right now. But it has to go to the reviewer. They have to review it. I said, all right, I'm going to send it in. I sent it in. He contacted me maybe a day later. He said the reviewing officer wants to see your sentencing report from Delaware. I said, Mike, I'm not going all the way to Delaware to get my sentencing report if it's not going to increase my chance of employment. I said, man, I've been through this too many times. I don't want to do it again. I said, I appreciate the time and the consideration, but I don't want the disappointment again. I said, I just don't want to do it. He said, man, if I was you, I would just do it. I would just do it. Me and my daughter, we drove to Delaware, got the sentencing report. The crime was so long ago that the case, it was archived. She didn't charge me the $25 to get it. She gave me the paperwork. I explained to her what it was for. She wished me best, regards, and on my job. I faxed him the sentencing report. At that time, I just knew that I wasn't gonna get the job. He emailed me back. He said, at this time, the reviewing officer, they no longer wish to proceed with the job offer. And, and I just been going down, like I was in a blessed position, I had money in my checkings account, saving account, saved money, I was just doing well, but it's been a hindrance. It's just been a hindrance.
Well, your story is amazing. I mean, number one, you ought to be writing a book. Number two, somebody ought to be helping you out. Okay. And the reason why we're doing this video today, the reason why I wanted to do it is so that you could tell your story. And so that possibly somebody out there, even if they can't help you, they might know somebody that can, or might be able to give you some guidance, And I really, really enjoyed meeting you the first time when we talked about that. And that's why I really wanted to do this video for you. And so I guess what the next step would be, Mansa, is that anybody seeing this video, if you can reach out to me, you can reach out to me at irefusetoffail.com. You can go in and say, hey, I saw the video, or I think I can help this person. Reach out to me and I'll make sure that you get connected with Mansa to see if we can't help this young man, because it's just a crime that it's a crime in itself that they're not allowing somebody with the knowledge he has and the passion he has to be able to help others not make the mistakes he did, because he's already got that knowledge, he's experienced it, and he's got the story. So I would appreciate anybody out there that took the time to watch this video. I think you're probably as impressed as I've been with Mansa, and would want to help him. So Mansa, let's just close it with, I wish you the best. I'm sure everybody else does. And let's hope that somebody reaches out and connects with me so that I can get them connected with you, or find out a place where you can contact someone else. So I really appreciate you spending the time today doing the video. And all I can do is tell you that I hope that we find somebody to help you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. All right. Well, we're going to close it down now, but I hope you enjoyed that video. And if anybody out there can help Mansa, please just go to irefusetoffail.com, go on the form, contact me, tell me, how you think you might be able to help them directly or somebody else. So Mansa, have a good weekend, man. Talk to you later.
I appreciate you too, Carl.
All right. Take it easy.
All right.